Look up at the night sky, and your brain does the same old thing it has done for tens of thousands of years. It assumes we're not the main character, because come on, billions of stars, billions of planets, billions of years. And yet Earth is the only place we know that can argue on the internet. And here's the part nobody likes. We've been searching, seriously searching. Radio telescopes, optical scans, planet surveys, SETI projects, data pipelines chewing through noise like hungry machines. And after all that, no beacon, no verified probe, no repeatable pattern, no, this is definitely intelligent, just silence. The kind of silence that feels less like empty and more like something is being withheld. That's the Fermi Paradox in one sentence. If intelligent life should be common, why does the universe look dead? Most people treat that as a fun sci-fi flavor, a thought experiment, a cosmic shower thought. But if you take it seriously, it turns into a personal problem. Because it's not only asking, where are they? It's asking, what does their absence say about our future? Because nobody out there is one possibility. But there's another possibility that's colder. Maybe there were others. Maybe there were many. And maybe the reason the sky is quiet is the same reason an abandoned city is quiet. Not because nothing ever lived there, because something happened. So tonight we're going to run a simple investigation with two suspects. Suspect number one, we are the first civilization, the firstborn, early in the game. The universe hasn't had time to produce many technological species yet, so the silence is normal. Suspect number two, we are the first survivors, not the first to rise, just the first to show up after the reset, after the cleanup, after whatever keeps turning a loud galaxy into a quiet one. One suspect is comforting. The other is the kind of idea that makes you stop romanticizing space and start respecting it. Let's start with the comforting one, because it's the one people want to be true. The firstborn hypothesis says the universe isn't silent because it's empty. It's silent because it's early. And that's not crazy. The cosmos is old, yes. But old doesn't automatically mean full of civilizations. Life might be common while intelligence is rare. Microbes might be everywhere while technology is the exception. Here's one of the strongest versions. The Milky Way may become more habitable with time. Some star systems, especially red dwarfs, can burn steadily for trillions of years. If planets around them can host life, the long game favors the future. Civilization could be a late bloom, and we're simply early bloomers. Maybe Earth got lucky. Maybe we cleared the hard steps faster than most worlds. Maybe other planets are still stuck at bacteria, waiting out ice ages, chemical bottlenecks, random extinctions. In that story, the silence isn't scary. It's just timing. But here's the first problem. Firstborn is dangerously good at escaping reality. The stronger you make it, we're the first anywhere. The more it becomes unfalsifiable. You can't prove a negative across an unobservable universe. That's not science. That's a philosophical power pose. So let's be strict. We're not claiming we're first in the universe. We're asking a testable version. Are we the first technological civilization in the Milky Way? Even that is hard, but at least it has rules. In principle, we could search long enough, far enough, and thoroughly enough to find evidence, ruins, artifacts, waste heat, industrial signatures, strange isotopes, abandoned infrastructure. And here comes the key pressure test. If advanced civilizations existed before us, shouldn't the galaxy look used? Think about your city. You can tell people live there even if you never meet them, because the lights, roads, satellites, pollution, and infrastructure scream, someone was here. Now upscale that to a civilization that's had 1,000,000 years. Even if it's careful, it leaves fingerprints, probes, communication, engineering projects, a halo of industrial byproducts. So when we see nothing, firstborn feels tempting. But don't get comfortable yet, because the absence of fingerprints has two meanings. Meaning A, There were no hands, meaning B, the hands existed and the prints got wiped. And that second meaning is where the Firstborn hypothesis starts sweating, because the galaxy isn't just quiet, it's weirdly quiet. Quiet enough that you start wondering if we're not late, but early, after a reset. Welcome to the uncomfortable theory, first survivors. This is the idea that the galaxy isn't empty. It's been cleansed, not once, potentially many times. And before you imagine space dragons, relax. The most terrifying reset mechanisms are boring. They don't need magic. They need time, physics, and a little bit of intelligence behaving like a teenager with matches. Reset pathway. Number 1, self-destruction. Civilizations don't have to be evil to die. They just have to be powerful. A single century of bad decisions with good technology can erase 1,000 centuries of progress. Runaway AI, engineered pathogens, climate destabilization, nuclear escalation, even simple economic collapse compounded by fragile infrastructure. The galaxy doesn't need an enemy, it just needs civilizations that confuse capability with wisdom. Sound familiar? But self-destruction is only one reset. Here's the darker one. Reset pathway number 2, automated extermination logic. You don't need a conquering empire, you just need one civilization that decides any new technological species is a future competitor. Remove it early. Then you build a fleet of self-replicating probes. Cheap, patient, silent. They drift for millions of years. They watch for radio leakage, industrial waste heat, artificial light on the night side of planets. And when they see it, no speeches, no drama, just elimination. That's the berserker idea, and yes, it sounds like sci-fi. But note how little it requires. One decision, one ancient civilization, and a lot of time. Time does the rest. Reset pathway number 3. Civilizations hide. Not because they're peaceful, because they're scared. Maybe broadcasting gets you killed. Maybe expansion gets you noticed. Maybe the first rule of surviving the galaxy is shut up. Now here's the part that should make your stomach drop. A reset doesn't have to destroy the planet. It only has to destroy continuity. Knock out a civilization's technology repeatedly and you trap it in a loop. Rise to collapse to rebuild to collapse again. Each time you lose knowledge, each time you lose infrastructure, each time you become easier to control. If that's happening, the galaxy could be full of life and even full of intelligence, but not full of long-lived civilizations. Which means the Great Silence isn't a lack of life, it's a lack of survivors that stayed loud long enough for us to notice. And suddenly, the Fermi Paradox changes tone. It's not, where are they? It's, how many tried and failed? So which story is true? Here's the cruel part. The universe doesn't hand out certainty. It hands out risk. And that's why this topic is valuable to normal people, not just astrophysicists. Because the real lesson of the Great Silence is psychological. A quiet system can mean nothing happened, or something happened and got erased. And if you confuse those, you make dumb decisions. In space, in business, in life. If we're first born, the practical conclusion is, stop expecting a cinematic reveal. We need better tools, better searches, and better patience. The universe doesn't owe us drama, it owes us physics, and physics is rude. But if we're first survivors, the practical conclusion is sharper. Civilization is not a staircase, it's a tightrope. Your modern life, electricity, medicine, satellites, supply chains, is not normal. It's an unstable miracle that exists, because an absurd number of things didn't go wrong this year. So what do you do with that? You build resilience. You respect boring maintenance. You treat institutions like life support, not like background noise. You learn the difference between confidence and delusion, because the universe punishes delusion with silence. Now, before you panic and start building a bunker, remember this is not about fear. It's about clarity. The universe is teaching us how to think. Don't worship certainty. Worship good questions. And here's the next question, the one that makes tonight's episode feel like the warm-up. What if the great silence isn't because civilizations die? What if it's because they choose silence, not because they're polite, because they're hunted? Next episode, we go into the dark forest. The idea that the universe is quiet for the same reason a forest goes silent when a predator arrives. And if that's true, then sending messages into space isn't brave. It's ringing a dinner bell. Subscribe, because once you see the logic of a silent universe, you start noticing silence everywhere.